Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Getting right back into it here. Who deserves blame right now in Dallas? I want to talk about everything Nico Harrison, everything about Dallas Mavericks right now. Obviously, Nico Harrison having his first press conference since the Luka trade. There was a lot of things that happened in this press conference. To start, before the press conference even happened, Nico Harrison saying definitively, no cameras, no audio equipment. They don't want anything on tape. They don't want anything on camera. Nothing. Nothing. They don't want any proof. They don't want anything being quoted, any of that. They don't want to be quoted directly. Journalists end up entering the room. As a former journalist myself, I would honestly probably do the exact same thing. As a journalist studying in college right now, I would do the exact same thing. Go into that room, ask the coach ask Nico saying, "Hi, could I just record this just for quotes? I want to write a story about this." They can't say no. What are they going to say? It's their right. It's the right to speech, especially as a press conference, especially as a member of the organization, as an organized thing with people having an audience, part of the journalists having audience reading their articles, wanting to learn more about what's going on. You need to directly quote Nico Harrison to build the story. It's bread and butter. It's like having ketchup without fries. It's like having fries without ketchup. It's just you can't have one without the other. You can't, or it makes no sense. It just throws the whole thing for a loop. But yeah, eventually Nico Harrison obliging, saying, okay, you can have audio equipment only. No cameras, but you can have audio equipment. Going in there, I'm not going to quote exactly what he said because I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. Usually I do. But but basically what Nico Harrison said was, we're trying to build a defensive-fronted team. Defense wins championships. That's our culture now. That's what we're trying to go for. We still think we are competitive in the Western Conference. We saw that we were competitive for 2.5 quarters with Anthony Davis in the lineup. And yeah, just pretty much saying stuff along those lines that this wasn't a bad move. Everything's going to work out. Don't worry about it. Trying to control the narrative of the uproar that's gone on in Dallas since Luka Dončić being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. But as much as I want to believe Nico Harrison and I see what he's talking about, there are 100% holes in his argument. To go on a press conference almost a week and a half removed after Luka Dončić came back to Dallas, dropped 45 points on you, a week removed from Anthony Davis showing up on the same court and not playing very well. I think he only had about 10 or 15 points in that game. The main asset that you got back from the Luka trade, Anthony Davis not playing well in Luka's return to Dallas, to sit there in the middle of that game and hear fans scream out in the stands saying, "Fire Nico Harrison," chanting your name to get fired, asking for you to step down, and you go on a press conference a week and a half later and say, everything's going to be okay, don't worry about it. To a fan favorite. That's like the Boston. I don't even want to. No, I'm not enough. I'm sorry about the Boston comparisons. But you can't do that as a GM. You can't do it. You can't do that as. If I was a fan of the Dallas Mavericks, I would not be. I would be sick to my stomach after hearing what Nico Harrison said last night or last week, especially with the fact that he said 2.5 quarters with Anthony Davis being in the lineup. You can't say that with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving being in the lineup together since Kyrie Irving got injured and tore his ACL. You can't say that. You cannot say that. 2.5 quarters? Really? Really. I don't think that's right. I really don't agree with it at all. But that's the facts. Another fact is Brian Windhorst reporting yesterday on First Take saying that Nico Harrison, that he confirmed it, that Nico Harrison was asked to do this by owner Patrick Dumont. Now, take that the way you'd like, but the new majority owner of the Dallas Mavericks, this season actually, his first season as the majority owner since Mark Cuban lost that title, goes out and does this. Trading Luka Dončić, one of the top 5 players, easily top 5, if not top 3, in the NBA, a year removed from returning the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010, when they won it all. Instead of giving him another year to grow with him and Kyrie Irving, instead of bringing another asset in to grow with this team, you not only trade Luka Dončić, you trade him to the Lakers. You don't get a first-round pick out of it. You don't get Austin Reeves out of it. You get nothing. You get Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis getting hurt. To pair with Kyrie Irving, that was your original plan. Kyrie Irving gets hurt, tears his ACL, out for the season. There is speculation that he'll be back in January of next season, but he's not getting any younger. He's had major injuries before. He's had injuries to this knee before. He's tore his Achilles before. This is not his first major injury, and especially on the trajectory that Kyrie Irving was on prior to being injured, we can't primarily assume that he's going to be back to that same stature that he was. Kyrie Irving was one of the better point guards, easily one of the top 15, top 20 players in the NBA before being injured, before getting hurt, easily. Resurrecting his career. After what happened in Brooklyn, he's been resurrecting his career over the last 2 years or so, and it's just not fair to him. It's not fair to the team. It's not fair to the fans. This is where the speculation starts as to why the Luka Dončić trade happened, especially with the news confirming that the owners asked Nico Harrison to do that press conference last week. We can only assume that, well, I'm assuming, this is my opinion, in my opinion only, 2 things. First, I'm just assuming, like I said, I'd say that they asked Nico Harrison to do that interview, and Nico Harrison asked for no camera, no audio equipment, because they didn't want his name or they didn't want anything being quoted, because when the second they get a video or a clip on you, it's over. It's over. It's done. This whole thing will stay with Nico Harrison's name regardless, but if the clip and the camera footage stayed with him prior, I don't know if he would have another job. And it's tough, especially if this does not pan out the way Nico Harrison would like. He's just being painted as the scapegoat. It's being hard. It's hard for him to want to be with this team, to see his name being slandered like that. So he definitely probably asked for the cameras and audio to be off so he could protect his own name. It makes 100% sense in that state. But I also think another reason why the Luka Dončić trade happened was because at the end of the day, the owners are the ones that pay the players. They are the ones that agree if they want to go over the luxury tax. It's a kind of the same reason why there's speculation that Wyc Grousbeck recently sold the Boston Celtics, because they were almost $1 billion starting lineup. Literally, you got 2 players making over $700 million a year. 2 players. Oh, in the second tier of the luxury tax, paying over $1 billion, paying almost $1 billion, over $1 billion for the roster alone. It's just too expensive. And it honestly makes sense why Grousbeck did not want to remain as the owner of this team in Boston. Going back to Dallas, in a small market as Dallas is, in the first year as a majority owner, you're supposed to go out and give Luka Dončić a $312 million extension, the biggest extension in NBA history, to one player. I believe he was supposed to get $350 million or something. Not 312, 350. As an owner, I would not want to do that in my first year. No way. No. And it makes sense. But if that's the facts, if that's what transpired, if that's the reasoning why Luka Dončić was traded, on top of that, you wouldn't want as a new owner that label being attached to your name. Absolutely not. You would pin the blame on the GM because the GM is the one that makes the front office decisions. You trade him, and you say the GM traded him because on top of that, you say the GM traded him just to get the label off your name. On top of that, the Los Angeles Lakers and I can't remember. I can picture his face. Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison had a history before this. It's been reported. Nico Harrison had a relationship with Rob Pelinka as a friendship, obviously. Just continuing to grow their friendship, and they were friends prior to this trade. I would not be shocked if Rob Pelinka heard some rumors about this, called up Nico Harrison knowing that they wanted to get rid of him, didn't want to give him a king's ransom by giving up Austin Reeves or a first-round pick, gave up Anthony Davis's sufficient compensation, and called it a day. In my eyes, that's how this all played out. But that's neither here nor there. We're probably never going to find out exactly what happened between these two teams or what happened in the front office between the front office and the owners. But this is how I see it. This is how I speculate it, because the NBA is a business these days and the players are just pawns on a chessboard. And this is another instance of that. We've seen it time and time again, and this is just another instance of it. I'm going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the top 4 teams in each conference, the power rankings in each conference, both the East and the West. And yeah, I'll be right back, and we get some NBA conference power rankings.